3.
I love it. I did watch one of yours, and I thought it was so fun. So I was like, that's it. She's one of my first guests. I'm doing it.
Well, I'm no Josh Smith, but I'll do my best.
You're actually even better. We get the tea. I'm just kidding. Okay, is it on? Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. So hi guys, welcome to this week's episode. This week I'm joined by Jess Smith from Montana Knife Company. And it's a little bit different vibe we have going on this week because we are at Western Hunt Expo in the Eastman's Hunting booth filming podcasts. So here we go.
Pretty cool spot.
It is pretty fun, huh?
Yeah.
Well, first, let's get into a little bit of your background. You have quite the journey
Yes.
as from to even get to Montana Knife Company. So kind of give me a little bit about who you are.
Well, I wasn't born in Montana, but I was raised in Montana and grew up in Kalispell. Basically an only child. I have a couple half siblings, but they're much older than me. So grew up an only child. My parents owned restaurants. So I grew up waiting tables and just learning how to work hard. And went to school at the University of Montana and went to school. I originally, this is kind of a little fun fact, I couldn't decide if I wanted to be a broadcast journalist or a teacher. So two like totally different directions.
Okay.
But I always kind of dreamed of being on SportsCenter. And so I went that route because that seemed a little bit more, I guess, glamorous, if you could say, like potential to make a little more money than being a teacher. So I went that route and I did 2 years of school doing broadcast journalism. And at some point along the way, I realized there was a good chance I'd be on the local news for a long time. And I was like, I don't think that's for me. ESPN looks a lot farther away. So I switched halfway through school and switched to education and got my elementary teaching degree. And really hard to get a teaching job anywhere, but especially Montana. So I subbed for a couple of years and then ended up getting a full-time position when they switched to full-time kindergarten. So kindergarten used to be half day only.
Okay.
And they switched it to full-time, so they had to hire more teachers, and that's kind of how I got in. And so I taught a couple years of kindergarten, which was always kind of last on my list, but ended up being just like the absolute best.
Yeah.
Because they just think that you hung the moon. And
You were actually still getting the Valentines and
Yeah.
the treats and everything
Yeah.
versus the...
yeah, they're so sweet at that age. But I really wanted to teach some older kids. So once the opportunity came, I switched to 5th grade and I taught 5th for about 10 years. And then kept going up, switched to 7th grade for a couple of years. And 7th grade is what I was teaching when ended up quitting and working for Montana Knife Company.
So you ended at 7th grade?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was teaching history and PE, which is like the best gig ever because you get to wear joggers or leggings and hoodies to school every day.
Yeah.
And it's not teaching math or English, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So what made you switch the jump and be like, okay, I'm done teaching at this point?
Well, it was COVID, actually. So COVID hit and was teaching 7th grade. They sent us all home. We were teaching remote for the remainder of, I believe it was 2019. And so hard teaching middle school on a computer,
Yeah.
PE especially.
Yeah. How
So-
did you do that?
Well, I would teach workouts from my house. Like we'd do workouts and
Okay.
whoever wanted to come would come. It was actually really fun. But not all the kids would come,
Yeah.
obviously. So, but it is some pretty cool memories. So we did that. And then the following year we went back to school, but everything was very different. So kids were only coming like 2 or 3 days a week with those other days being remote. And we were wearing masks, which was absolutely awful. And yeah, so we did that for a whole year and it just, to be honest, it sucked.
Yeah. That sucked.
Yeah. And so at the end of that year, it was basically like COVID was done, quote unquote, you know, and like there was a lot of controversy over masks and all of the controversy over all of it, really. And Josh had quit his job by then. And it was the summer of 2020 and they were talking about, it was August and they were getting ready to go back to school, and there was rumor that they were going to make us wear masks again.
After
Yeah.
the full year. Okay.
Yep. And I came home and I was like, I cannot wear a mask anymore. Like
Yeah.
teaching. Like I'm a very like teaching is facial. Like you want to see kids' faces and like interact with them.
Well, and that's what like kids need is they need you to like give them the facial like recognition and everything.
There's so much power in all of that. Like
Yeah.
relationships with kids. How do you really have that when you can't even see their face?
Yeah.
So the rumor was we were gonna have to wear masks for like the first 6 weeks, and I was like, I'm not buying that. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, they tell you at once, and then they're gonna just keep enforcing
It's gonna
it.
just keep extending. And so I told Josh, I was like, you either have to hire me, or I'm like, I gotta go find another job because I literally can't.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was Brandon and Josh, and we had another employee, 2 employees. I think we had Tristan and Sadie at that time, just working in the shop, assembling and doing all the things. And they weren't even sure if they could use me, but of course, they agreed. They agreed to hired me, and there was so much work I couldn't even like. There was just so much to do, and so yeah, that's kind of how it all went down.
I love it. So let's explain a little bit about Montana Knife Company because I believe that you are a huge component of why it's even in the world to begin with. So let's talk about the journey of how you got Josh to actually go for it.
Yeah. So Josh has been a custom knife maker since he was a kid, youngest master bladesmith ever. So there's a lot of credibility and experience in all of that. And since he was a kid, he's always had this dream of building a production knife company where, you know, the average guy could afford a knife that he made. Because all of his custom work is very expensive. It's a ton of time. All of the materials he uses are very expensive. It's Damascus blades. It's really beautiful. It's artwork, right? So you're paying top dollar for that stuff. And so he had this dream since he was a kid to make a knife company that the average guy could afford. And his mother, who's also very, very amazing, had the foresight to register the name Montana Knife Company for him when he was 20. Even though like none of that was even a possibility at the time, she was just like, that's a cool name, let's register it and then it'll be yours.
Yeah.
So he's had this name for literally 20 plus years.
That's so cool.
So when I met Josh in 2016, he had 4 young kids and single dad, working as a lineman, trying to do everything. And really wasn't doing a lot of custom stuff at the time because he didn't have time. And I just started to encourage him like, hey, you should get back out in your shop. Like, I can do all this house stuff that you've been doing as a single dad. And just freed him up to get back out in his shop, which was cool. So it started with that, just making more custom stuff. And then he just shared more about this dream of Montana Knife Company. And I was like, well, I don't know what it looks like, but like we should try to do that. And a couple years after we'd been married and he'd been making more custom stuff, and my dad passed away, and I got a little bit of money from that. Not a lot, a little bit. And so, you know, if you want to start anything production, you need money. And so we couldn't, prior to that, we couldn't have started Montana Knife Company because we didn't have the capital to like buy steel to cut blades and, you know, handle material and things like that. And so we took the little bit of money that I got from my dad passing away and basically invested it in that first batch of knife making.
Got it.
And I think we had 200 blades cut, which is like nothing. And
You say nothing.
I know.
Well,
Well,
like,
compared to now.
It's nothing.
now.
But back then,
Yeah.
that's like a mountain. That's a huge thing that you guys.
No, I remember
find.
the piles of handle scales, you know, and yeah, it seemed like so much at the time. And the kids were putting them together and blasting the blades in the bead blaster, like, yeah, little Macy standing on a box so she could reach it. And yeah, it was just a family affair at the first 200.
Yeah. And then it kind of just snowballed after that.
Yep. So we took some of those very first ones and we got invited to Winter Strong and took some prototypes there and passed them out, and came back from Winter Strong just like super motivated met some really cool people at that event, including Bert, and it just kind of fed the fire and like encouraged us both, but Josh more importantly, that like we could do this.
Yeah.
And he was still working his full-time job at that time, being a lineman. And I remember telling him, like, when are you got to quit your job. Like, you can't do both of these things.
Yeah.
And of course, being a very responsible man, he was like, that's very scary. Like, how do you just quit your job? This very stable, benefits, all the things. How do you just walk away from that? And under different various circumstances, he finally did, where, we had been invited to go have beers with Thomas Rhett at Big Sky. Totally random.
Yeah.
And he was interested in our knives, and Josh didn't have any more time off. And Northwestern Energy wasn't going to let him have like the half a day that he needed before the next. It was literally like.
But you can't pass up that opportunity.
No.
Yeah.
No. And Josh told him, like, my new PTO time is going to start literally tomorrow. Like, if you can't give me this half a day, then I'm out. And so he did. And that was how he quit. It was kind of a wild moment, but never looked back.
But it's the thing that pushed him enough to be like, okay, I'm done.
Yes.
So did you have like a specific moment that you knew that this is what you should push Josh to do? Or did it kind of just like
not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, we joke that we have all of our like quality time conversations in the hot tub. And I'm sure it was just one of those hot tub conversations where it was like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And but no, I don't remember the exact specific conversation.
Okay. Do you have you mentioned Winter Strong. Would you say that that's the moment, or is there another moment that you were like, no, we're really going for this?
Well, I think there was several.
Yeah.
Like having the money, and then Winter Strong, and coming back just feeling so encouraged. Mm-hmm. I mean, we literally met. Winter Strong is such a unique event, especially when we went 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was an invite only. It wasn't really public. It was this place where just like people from all walks of life doing cool things were getting together and hanging out. And we got invited. I'm totally blanking on his name right now. Another knife maker. And we got invited to basically come. Josh got invited to come and help Neil Kamamura. Sorry, just came to me. He invited Josh to come and do some forging. And
because they have like a forging section at Winter Strong where you can learn how to do it yourself and learn from the masters and really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a totally outdoor event. You're supposed to come and camp and sleep in your tent, and it's cold usually, and we eat outside, and there's some physical stuff, but they teach you all kinds of things, like different hunting things, and there's cold prep stuff that you can learn how to do, and wilderness first aid, and it's just, there's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And so we got invited for Josh to be one of the knife forging experts. Yeah. And we just couldn't believe all the people we were meeting that were doing like really, really cool things that we still have relationships with today. And that was a pretty pivotal moment. Finding Brandon was a pretty pivotal moment. I mean, we found Brandon through Winter Strong. Josh was kind of asking some of the Sorinex video guys, like, hey, do you have anybody like out west, like near us, that you could recommend? That, we needed a website and we needed some photographs and like that whole side of things. Like Josh was making knives, but he's no photographer. And so we knew we needed that whole piece. And so that's how we found Brandon.
Was through Winter Strong?
Yeah, Ricky Herzog recommended him.
Was it the same year, or is it different?
It was that very first year. And so we came home, and Brandon was living in Kalispell, and Josh reached out to him, and he came down and took some photos, and Josh shared basically his vision of what he was seeing for Montana Knife Company. Mm-hmm. And I mean, clearly Brandon was so talented and understood it immediately, and he was so fast. Like Josh would ask for different things, and like Brandon would have it to him like the same day.
Yeah.
And made our website, and it was beautiful. And we just very quickly realized like we couldn't afford to just pay Brandon to do all of the things that we needed. And so that's when Josh decided to, offer him partnership in the company. And that too was just like one of the best decisions ever made, because it wouldn't be what it is without Josh or Brandon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So let's pivot into understanding a little bit more about like what you do. When I envision you, I think you're the MKC mom, which that means
that's how I envision myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of what the word mom means, is you kind of wear many hats and you're kind of taking care of everybody. Yeah. So let's dive into a little bit about what you do that's real, that's actually not the word mom.
Yeah. Well, officially right now, I manage all of our customer service and fulfillment.
Okay.
But that's really evolved. I mean, when they first decided to bring me on, I was doing everything. I was trying to help. I was writing checks to make payments, and I was trying to manage our vendors for steel and sheaths and handle scales, like things that
You're going like back.
Literally knew nothing about.
Yeah.
It was wild. So yeah, then we, once we hired Andrew, he took all of that stuff, thank God, because I was totally out of my wheelhouse. And it just slowly evolved into, for the next couple of years, I was basically managing all fulfillment. So I would print every label every day and fulfill those orders with help when needed, like on drop days. And then I was answering every email that came in.
Yeah.
And in 2023, it just got to be too much. Like the end of 23, I was like, I can't breathe. There's like too much to do. And that's when I finally got some help and got Cody in fulfillment. So now he basically runs all of fulfillment every day, prints all the labels, manages any staff that he needs to complete that. Mm-hmm. And then we had hired Tori to be a knife tech, and we knew that he had had previous customer service experience. And so, it was just sort of a natural fit to move him up. And he's just been, both of them have been a godsend, but they're so great to work with. I'm super lucky. So now I just basically manage the two of them. And then I also manage the inventory on our store.
On the storefront, or do you guys have a physical store?
No, no physical store yet. We will soon when we get into our new space.
I know it's getting up.
I know.
I love seeing the pictures.
Yeah, we'll have a retail store, which I will not manage that. I manage the Shopify store. So everything you see on the website, I manage all that inventory.
Got it.
And try to make sure it doesn't run out if possible. But
yeah.
And then, try to just be in the know of as much as I can to try to help things. I mean, obviously I'm Josh's wife, so I'm privy to a lot of like that side of things. And so therefore try to like make things as easy as possible for everyone. Mm-hmm. It's hard to put words to that, I guess. But, early on we used to do lunch every Friday, and back when our staff was like 10, we'd make lunch for everybody every Friday or during the fulfillment of the drop. And once we got to about 30 employees, I was like, this is hard. I can't do this.
Yeah, it's just another task that takes you away from all the other tasks. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but I was so sad to see it go, because it was such a great culture bonding time for us to like eat together and, cook. I always joke that the way that my mother shows love for people is by cooking for them. But I think, those Friday lunches were like similar in style. And so I hated to give it up. But so now we do a once a month lunch, and I don't cook it anymore. We usually have it catered, or we do burgers and somebody else cooks them.
On. Everything you can do, you can't. I'm just kidding.
I know. No, it was very hard on my ego to give it up.
No, I love it. I will say, like, as a follower, I follow all you guys, and I've loved watching y'all's journey the last couple years, but that's one thing that you guys do a really, really good job at is taking care of your people. And I know you start with finding quality people, but then you guys really do help these people grow and be able to expand their career path, especially outside of a small town. That's like a really big component that a lot of like you guys are growing, but you're giving your community and your people like the opportunity to grow and expand, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. Every Tuesday we do a full staff meeting where we all sit down in the break room, and it has two components. One, it's an opportunity to share like what's going on in the company. We always want to be really transparent and upfront and keep everybody in the know with what's going on. So Josh will present all that information. But then the second part that's really cool that they do is they always do some kind of training or teaching to the staff of different things. So a couple weeks ago, Andrew did a whole teaching on resumes.
Really? That's so cool.
Yeah. So when Andrew was working for Amazon, he did all of their hiring. He's done thousands and thousands of interviews and seen probably more resumes than you can count. And so he's very well versed in all of that and does all of the hiring for us as well, as far as the shop is concerned. And so, yeah, he just did a whole training on resumes. And, the whole idea is like to let everybody know in the room, like, keep your resume current and up to date. And because you just never know, like even in-house stuff that we have, when I hired an extra person for customer service this year to help Tori. And we did it in-house only, and they had to apply and provide a resume, and we did interviews. And part of the post-interview, we met with everybody and basically went over their resume with them and gave them feedback. And because we want everybody to learn from all of the parts of the process, just like you're saying, like we do really believe in all of them. And just to give them as much training as possible for life in general.
What would you say is your favorite component working in the business?
Oh gosh.
Like which one do you love the most?
Oh, I don't know. I just love our people so much. Like I love it when we get to do the cultural things. Like last night was our drop night, and they all went to Highlander Brewery and had pizza and beer and hung out. And I was so bummed we weren't there. Our Christmas party was just so great to like see everybody outside the shop and get to know everyone. I love the shows where we get to interact with people and all the other people in the industry that we know. I just love all the people, right? Yeah. Like none of this exists without people. Like our knives don't sell without people.
Yeah.
And so, interacting with customers, I don't get to answer a lot of emails anymore because Tori and Paris do most of that. But just hearing the feedback from customers that like really believe in what we're doing and they get it, that it's like more than just a knife. And I'm always telling our staff at home, like that knife that you're sharpening, that knife that you're assembling, like that's going to be part of somebody's story. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard in manufacturing, right? And like something that can be monotonous to step back and like remember that. But like that knife might belong to a 12-year-old kid that's going to go and kill his first mule deer.
Yeah.
Right? And then he's going to pass it down. He's going to grow up and still have that knife and pass it down to his kid. Like there's just so much more to it. Yeah. And if you can remember that part, it makes what you're doing even more fulfilling and rewarding and less monotonous.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So outside of Montana Knife Company, you're a mom as well. And you guys are running to basketball and are you in FFA?
They're not in FFA, they're in 4-H.
4-H, that's right, that's right.
Yeah.
And so you're driving them all around, getting the animals where they need to go. Mm-hmm. And then you're into horses.
Yep.
A lot.
Well, I try.
You try.
In my spare time.
In your spare time. Is that what you would say is like how you wind down from a long day is get on your horse? Or like what do you do to take a step back and relax from the business?
Yeah.
Because your business right now is still in your backyard.
Yes, it is. And actually, I can't complain because when we move to that new building, I'm going to have to drive to work. And I don't want to do that. I love walking 30 feet to go to work.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
So I guess there's pros and cons to having your business in the backyard.
There are.
But But what would you say is like takes you away from that and like resets?
It's not even anything super complicated. You've been to our house. Like, we are so incredibly blessed with where we live. Like, Josh and I are always talking about, we live in paradise.
Yeah, it's
our
beautiful.
spot at the end of the road, and it's just so beautiful. And so, we love traveling and going places, but when we just get a weekend at home to like just be together
Yeah.
and hang out, like that's literally some of the best moments.
Yeah.
So it's not even very complicated. But yeah, I super love and just riding out. We're lucky enough to have a bunch of forest land out behind us that I can just ride out on. We don't even have to like trailer anywhere if we don't want to. So yeah, I do usually say being on the back of my horse is like my favorite spot. I just have a hard time getting Josh to go with me. It's not his favorite spot. So
Okay.
going alone is not my favorite. Just Byers goes with me sometimes, so that's fun. But yeah, and then, all the 4-H stuff is super, super awesome. Those are some of my best memories with the kids when they were super little.
Yeah.
They're older now and they can really do most of it on their own. They don't need us anymore.
Yeah.
So pros and cons to that, but yeah.
Well, I love watching your adventures.
Thanks.
And I don't know what time it is. And I don't know how much time we have.
Yeah.
But I do have some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
If we can do some of those. Now, granted.
I don't know how good I'll be at these, but I'll do my best.
Well, that's okay because some of these were designed by ChatGPT.
Oh gosh.
And they're all supposed to be fun and funny. So, like, don't take offense.
Okay.
Anybody. Josh, if you're watching, I'm just kidding. Okay.
I'm ready.
How many knives do you personally own?
Oh God, so too many to count. How many knives do I have hidden in my nightstand? 3.
Okay, that's a good answer. Do you have a favorite knife?
Oh, I carry a mini goat.
Okay. Those are like the perfect size.
Yeah, you just can use it for everything. So that would probably be my favorite. I can't say that I have enough hunting under my belt to like have a favorite in that department, but hopefully that'll, change with time.
But you just got into hunting, didn't you?
Yeah.
Wait, it was really recently, right?
Yeah, 3 years ago I went on my first hunt with Gary down in New Mexico and shot my first elk.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, it was life-changing experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't sure how I would do hunting. I wasn't even sure I would be able to, pull the trigger in a sense. And
Because you didn't grow up hunting.
no, my dad hunted, but he never took me.
Yeah.
He hunted more when I was little. And then when I got older, they were business owners and busy. So, no, I really didn't get into it till I met Josh. And, yeah, it was life-changing for sure. I was definitely able to pull the trigger. And then, when I walked up on that elk, it was a moment.
Yeah.
So
What was your biggest lesson or takeaway from that hunt?
I think just the respect for the animal. Like, I cried like a small child. Like, and I wasn't expecting that. I was just so honored, like, to be able to partake in that moment. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And even, the second time when I got to go again with Gary, I don't know. There's something about the enormousness of it all,
Yeah.
I guess.
Would you have any tips or tricks for people who want to get into it who never have?
Oh gosh, just do it.
Just do it.
Just find someone that can help you. Find a mentor that can, help you get started, but just don't be afraid to do it.
Yeah.
Just whatever it looks like. You don't have to have all the fancy camo and all the expensive gear. Like, you don't need any of that. Like, just get out.
Yeah.
Get out and do it.
It can be really overwhelming, especially when you walk through a show like this. And it is very consumer based and it can be a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But then when you go out to the field, it's very, I think, a little bit more simple than that. And so just, I think being open to the learning process,
Yes.
which I think a lot of people are having it's a really big life lesson that you learn throughout your life of just like being open to the learning process.
Yep.
And hunting would be.
Yep.
For that. Okay. I'm official.
You're making me nervous.
What is your PR time for packing and shipping?
Me personally or our team?
You.
Oh, I don't know about me.
Or
It's
your
been,
te-
it's
I
been
guess
a
it's a
hot
te-
minute
it's been a
since I've
team.
I haven't done it personally.
So let's just, for reference, for people who don't know Montana Knife Company, your knives sell out within minutes.
Yeah, last night rockers sold out in 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Do you guys have a record time that you've sold out?
I think the first time we dropped minis, this was a couple years ago. I mean, we've had a drop sell out in under a minute.
That's crazy.
It also depends on how many we put on the website, right? Like, so that can
For sure.
make a difference.
We'll have to get the stats from Brandon, and the next time we'll have
Yeah.
a total, like, coming to you live with the
Yeah.
stats.
We've actually been working on these on rates as of late, though, and so I can tell you that our team fulfilled 67 single knives an hour 2 weeks ago.
Holy cow.
So yeah, because we're trying to really like drive rates and like track all of that.
Yeah.
And we're about to switch to a new, we ship all of our knives in those black bags, and we're about to get some custom bags made that's going to make it even faster. So we'll probably be doing 100 an hour.
Holy cow.
But I mean, it's
You got your process down.
yeah, it's important though, because as you know, we ship everything the next day.
You guys do have the best customer support. Maybe that's from you.
Yeah.
And then you guys are fast.
Yep.
Like, we've ordered a couple things and it is there within the week. And I'm like, sometimes you guys are faster than Amazon.
Yeah. No,
great.
Josh has always believed from the very beginning that once you give us your money, we're going to get your product out ASAP.
Yeah.
We're not going to hold on to it. And so everything ships every day, the very next day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. If Montana Knife Company named a knife after you, what would it be called?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. The only thing that comes to mind would be like the knife wife.
The knife.
But I don't know. I have no
TM,
idea.
Trademarked. You guys you heard it here first.
I don't know what this knife looks like though. So,
Okay, what is the best part of working with your husband,
oh gosh.
and one most challenging thing that's
The best thing about working with Josh is just working with Josh, like being with Josh.
yeah.
We've definitely come a long ways. Like it was not easy in the beginning, being busy and learning how to navigate the time of it all. And so, just getting to see him during the day,
Yeah.
and sometimes I don't see him all day, and then we'll be, having dinner and I'm like, I didn't see you all day today. He's like, I know, but we still work together. So yeah, and getting to travel together.
Yeah.
I really love that part too.
Yeah, you guys are traveling all over.
Yeah, I feel super blessed that we get to be together in this journey. Like, I'll never take that for granted. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Biggest challenge would probably be when I let him down. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. And he is still officially like my boss. He's the president of Montana Knife Company, and I'm just I'm a manager. And so, the fine line of like being spouses, but also, right, like
Yeah.
he is my boss. And so when I let him down, it hits harder than if he were just my boss.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest challenge.
Cute. What is one thing people think they know about running a business, or specifically a knife company, but they don't fully understand?
Oh, I don't know. This is the first business I've ever run.
No, you helped your family.
Well, yeah. I think what people don't know is that it's literally a full-time job. Like you live, eat, and breathe it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm able to have moments where I step away a little bit, but Josh definitely doesn't. And I'm constantly reminded, especially as of late, like he literally has dozens of different like irons in the fire and things that he's thinking about and working on. And so just knowing that like there's so much more to meets the eye than anybody has any idea about.
Yeah.
And you're never not working.
Yeah. the hours and time that's put in the behind the scenes
Yeah.
is en masse versus what you guys see on social. And you guys have a really big social presence,
Yeah.
but like 800 times those hours that
Yeah.
go into social.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, I think also it's personal, right? Like the difference between being an owner and just an employee.
Yeah.
And it's all very, very personal.
Yeah. Got it. I already kind of asked that one, so hold on. Okay, this one's just to be funny. What's one thing that your husband thinks he helps with, but he actually doesn't?
Business or personal? Either. That he thinks he helps with, but he doesn't.
Mine would be laundry.
Oh, yeah, no, Josh isn't allowed to touch laundry. God, I don't know. He probably thinks that he helps with a lot of things that he doesn't.
It was just a fun one. We don't have to dish all the dirty laundry. You can tell me
I
after.
better not. I better
It's okay.
not.
That's okay. Okay, this is the final one.
Okay.
If you had $1 for every time that someone asked,
Oh,
when will this knife be in stock? What would you buy?
oh my gosh. I'd buy a house on the beach somewhere on an island. But if I had $1 for every time somebody said, "Where's my package? It hasn't shown up yet," I would start my own shipping company.
Turning businesses. I love it.
I know. Poor Tori's always like, I am not wearing a postal uniform. Like, we ship it, but then it's not us, right? Like,
Well, who's to say that's not the next adventure?
it could be. It could be. We could be the next UPS.
Oh, I love it. Taking over Montana. Okay, well, Jess, I have loved having you on, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day.
This has been a blast. Thank you.
I'm so happy. Okay, let's go have fun at the show.
All right.
Okay, bye. Dude, thank you so